people, how you doing? I'm having a damn good day. Welcome back to the channel, and in today's episode of Tactics, we'll be breaking down ways that you can replicate and recreate Carlo Ancelotti's 4-1-2-1-2 formation in FC24. So, if you can, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you are new. We recently hit 2,000 subscribers and I'm absolutely chuffed and loving it. As well as, in this episode, we will be going over another formation as well. More of the Christmas tree formation. It's not exactly following what AC Milan did all those years ago, but it is a 4-1-2-2-1 formation that Carlo Ancelotti and Real Madrid used against Atletico Madrid a few days ago. So, we will be going over this, starting off with Joselu and Vinny Jr. up front. We've got Bellingham, Camavinga, Tchouameni, as well as Valverde in the midfield. We've got Captain Carvajal, Rudiger, Alaba, and Garcia in the defence. And between the sticks, we've got Kepa, if it allows me to get there. We've got Kepa between the sticks. On the bench, we've got Rodrigo, Brahim, Modric, Kroos, Lunin, Fernandes, and Mendy. And then in the reserves, we've got the injured Courtois, Militao, Vasquez, Ceballos, Goulet, Bravo, and a few other players I don't care to mention. So for this formation, I haven't changed much. I've gone with the basic 4-1-2-1-2 formation. One goalkeeper, 2 centre-backs, 2 full-backs, 1 DM, 2 central midfielders, 1 attacking midfielder, and 2 strikers. So with the tactical vision of this Real Madrid team, I've gone with the standard approach, the standard tactical vision, and basically it is because there is such an array and a mix of talents in this team that they don't have to particularly play a specific way, a certain style. They don't have to play it with a tiki-taka or a gating pressing system or a kick and rush type system. They can have a very standard approach to the game and they can adjust and adapt to that game. So the game plan does change when the likes of Toni Kroos and Luka Modric are on the field compared to when you have the very young and athletic Camavinga, Tchouameni, Jude Bellingham, Valverde on the field. So that was my reasoning and my thought process behind the standard approach. But I would say that if the likes of Real Madrid ever change back and convert back into their 4-3-3 formation, it would probably be a bit more wing play dominance in terms of the tactical vision. For the defensive style, it's a very balanced approach. They can look to press you as much as possible, and you can look to do that by pressing down on the D-pad and having the team press with the left button. So you can look to impose a press on the opposition's backline at times, or even the goalkeeper. What I like to do is, as soon as the ball's in the backline or potentially being passed back to the goalkeeper, you hit the team press, and therefore the team will look to try and move as a cohesive unit and try and press the opposition. So a balanced approach is very conducive to what Real Madrid try and do. They are quite happy to keep their shape and their structure at times, or other times they are quite happy to try and press and make the opposition's life a living hell. For the width, I've gone with the 35. It's a nice compact system, always trying to funnel the opposition out wide. They have a very stacked and packed midfield, so it makes it very hard for the opposition to play through the lines through the centre of the park, which is why I think it's best to go with a very compact system in the middle. As for the depth, it's set to 70. It's not exactly the highest of lines, but it is a decent, or you could say a high mid block at times, making sure that the defense is still solid. They're not going to be exploited too much with those through balls over the top to any fast-paced players, and they are going to be very solid with winning that ball back and circulating it back into possession. As for the builder play, again, it is set to balance as well as the chance creation. Like I said, it depends on who you have in this team. You can look to try and achieve a tiki-taka system with just the balance settings set to be on, or you can look to speed things up. If you have a very young athletic duo or team on the field, you can look to play a bit faster, and then if you're looking to gain a bit more control of the game, you can slow things down. And balance does allow you to do all these things. You can also look to play that long ball back to front into the opposition, have those runners in behind with the likes of Vinny Jr. or Rodrigo. So like I said, the whole reasoning behind the standard version of this tactical approach and the tactical vision is that Real Madrid, they are very capable of adapting to their opponents on the field in certain moments, and they're very, very good at that. I mean, we saw a few seasons ago, it was a slightly different team, but against Liverpool in the Champions League final, they were able to adapt, sit back a bit more, soak up pressure, and then try and hit them on the break with the likes of Vinny Jr. and Benzema, as well as Valverde, of course. So they are very capable of having a very dynamic approach in games. So that's what I'm trying to say with this set of tactics going forward. As for the width, it is set to 65. You want to try and spread that midfield out. Of course, you are playing a midfield 4 at times. I know it's a 1-2-1 formation in the midfield, but it's a diamond. You want to try and have as much space in the park as possible for your technicians to operate in. You also want to try and generate as much space through the lines for your runners, either your Rodrigos or your Vinny Juniors or even your Joselus at times. You want to have space around them in order for them to flourish on the ball. As for players in the box, I have set it to 6. That means 3 players in the box, 3 players outside. You do have a midfield 4, so they will just stay on the edge of the box, try and circulate play, try and facilitate the play for your forward runners into that attacking area. And then 4 corners and free kicks. As per always, it is set to 4. So for the instructions, we'll start off with Kepa. He is set to be cautious on his crosses when it comes to saving crosses. He's never been the guy who's going to claim those aerial balls and so on. He's always looking to try and punch the ball and alleviate the stress and the pressure immediately on the defense. So he'll always look to try and clear it with a punch or something like that, which is why I've gone with cautious on crosses. As well as he needs to make saves outside the box. When you are playing a 70 or even a 60 and above line, I think it's best to have a super keeper, have him run off of his line, claim the ball, circulates back into possession at times. And I think Kepa more or less is fairly good with the ball at his feet as well. Moving on into the defense, we've got Alaba and Rudiger. They're set to their basic instructions. Further out wide though, because we are not really playing with wingers, you need your fullbacks to more or less act like wingbacks at times and bomb up and down either flank, and that's exactly what the likes of Garcia and Carvajal are set to do. So for both of them, they're set to join the attack and overlap as well as stick to position. You don't want them being too aggressive and stepping out too much and being exposed with the ball in behind. You want them to maintain their position, but also maintain that wide flank area to provide width in the team. And as you can see for Garcia, he's got the same to the instructions. Moving on into our midfield 4, starting with the base of the diamond, Tchouaméni. He's set to cut past lanes, have a balanced attack. You do want him to be able to drift forward a bit more, be a bit more involved in the attacking play to try and overload the opponents in certain moments. Normal interceptions are set to be on for him and also be the deep line playmaker. If Toni Kroos is in this position, he will also have that approach, being the deep line playmaker, spraying a bit more passes into that front line every now and then. But also you want him to be able to collect the ball off the back line and pass it forward, move it into the offensive lines a bit more, and just progress the ball higher up the field. So for Camavinga going forward, he's set to stay back while attacking, and what that does is it'll help the likes of Tchouaméni deeper in the midfield with the build-up play going forward. It just provides another body, another extra passing man to get the ball to and then progress the ball higher up the field. He's also set to stay on the edge of the box. You want him to try and facilitate play, as well as that's exactly what Tchouaméni as well as Valverde will look to do. Facilitate the play on the edge of the box and try and play the ball into the attacking line, the forward line, into the attacking third. Normal interceptions are set to be on for him, stick to position and then cover the wing. And then as you can see, for Valverde, he's set to have a bit more of a box-to-box role, having a bit more of a balanced attacking approach, so he can drop a bit deeper, but he can also progress slightly higher up the field and help the likes of Bellingham facilitate the attacking phases of play. Stay on the edge of the box though, again, like Camavinga, he's going to try and help facilitate play, bulldoze and passing triangles, and then progress the ball into the final third. Aggressive interceptions are set to be on for Valverde though. He does have a very aggressive approach to his opponents at times, and you want to try and replicate that in the game with aggressive interceptions set to be on. Cover the wing and then stick to position. As for Jude Bellingham, the man who has had an absolute flying start at Real Madrid over these last few months, he's set to come back on defense. You want him dropping slightly deeper, helping with the build-up play, getting on the ball a bit earlier in the build-up play and then progressing it higher up the field. You want him to get into the box either if it's for a tap-in or just to try and add a dummy run or something like that. You want him in the attacking third more times than not. Free roam is set to be on. We have seen him. He drops left, he drops right, he drops very deep at times, and that free roam role will help facilitate that. You want him popping up in little pockets of space in order for him to flourish as the playmaker in the team, you could say. And then normal interceptions are set to be on for him. As for Vinny Jr. and Joselu, we'll start with Joselu. He is going to be the out-and-out centre forward in this role. He is set to have a balance with, so he will sometimes look to run the channels, track down those loose balls, and then potentially start attacks from out wide. But his main role will be to be the target man and be central. Have the ball whipped into him, hold it up, pass it on, pass it into the midfield, bring other players into play with him. You want him to have that approach back into the opposition at times, and then just potentially draw centre-backs out of position with his physicality, with his hold-up play, and that allows for the likes of Bellingham, Vinicius, or any of your midfielders to run in and work with that space that is generated. Normal interceptions, though, are set to be on for him, and then stay forward. You want him to be the out there ball, like I said, ball into feet, hold-up play, and then potentially pass it on or lay it off to the other attacking players. And then finally, we've got Vinicius. He's set to drift wide, get him behind. Normal interceptions are set to be on for him. And then come back on defense. You want him to slightly drop off a bit more, have that link-up play with Bellingham at times, and then potentially make those runs in behind, which is why we've gone with him to get in behind, trying to exploit that backline's defense. And then, just in case you do decide to play the likes of Camavinga and Toni Kroos in these roles, Camavinga as a fullback, as a left fullback, he will look to join the attack as well, but this time he'll look to invert into the midfield, adding another layer into that midfield department, almost creating a midfield 5 at times, and he does a very, very good job with doing so, as well as he'll look to try and step up, be a bit more aggressive, and that also tries to just put him into the midfield at times, just get him more involved in the build-up play in the centre of the park. And then as for Toni Kroos, he has a slightly differing role to what Tchouaméni does, because obviously he is getting older, he doesn't have as much athleticism or stamina to do all the running that Tchouaméni will do, so he is set to have a balanced defensive approach. He won't look to cut passing lanes or tightly mark a player. He'll look to just hold that centre of the park and try and make sure that things are being facilitated nicely from the back going forward. Staying back while attacking, you don't want him to venture forward too much. You want him almost being the quarterback on the team. I think that's the best way to describe him in this role. Just putting the strength from the back, making sure, like I said, things are ticking over very well in the midfield. The ball is always consistently hopping around, being in possession of the Real Madrid department, as well as normal exceptions are set to be on. You don't want him overextending himself on the defensive end too much, and then being the deep line playmaker. I did mention this with Tchouaméni, but I think with Toni Kroos, you will look to more or less always try and spring that long ball into the forward line, or trying to get it just in behind the defense at times, trying to exploit it at times for the likes of Vinicius Jr. or potentially Rodrigo in that role to try and make those runs in behind, and then cover the centre. Like I said, you want him just holding and manning that little hole in front of the back four at times, or sometimes even the back three if Camavinga does look to invert a bit more. And that's also why Camavinga is so essential, because he can look to try and support Toni Kroos on the defensive end of things. So going forward with the other formation, the Christmas tree looking formation, one that Carlo Ancelotti found so much success with all those years ago at AC Milan. It's got a slight variation to it. Of course, Carlo Ancelotti's adapted this to his Real Madrid team, so there will be different roles going forward. But basically, looking at the formation and everything, it's one goalkeeper, two centre backs, two full backs, one DM, two central midfielders, two attacking midfielders, and one striker. So with the tactics going forward, the tactical vision is still set to the standard approach, and a lot of this will more or less keep the core values of the previous instructions and formation. So the defensive style is still set to be balanced. The team width is still very similar. This time it's slightly wider, set to 40. The depth is still set to 70. With the build-up play and chance creation also being set to balanced. The team width this time is slightly more narrow in the approach. It is a very widespread midfield as is, so you want to try and compact things a little bit more, try and get those five midfielders slightly closer to each other. The players in the box, so this is where the main difference in the variety starts coming into play. I've set it to 3, and that means that basically your centre forward and one other attacker, more times than not, it will be Jude Bellingham. They will get into the box and try and, lay off the ball into the back of the net to try and create something special for the team going forward. And then corners and free kicks, as always, is set to 4. So basically, for the instructions going forward, Kepa has the same set of instructions, as well as Alaba, Rudiger, Carvajal, and Garcia. Both fullbacks will be looking to try and add flair and width down either flank. As for Tchouaméni, he has a very similar role as well, set to cut past lanes, have a balanced attack, normal exceptions are set to go and be the deep line playmaker at times. He is very important in the build-up play. Of course, he does hold the centre of the park down more times than not, and he is going to be essential in progressing the ball high up the field. Camavinga and Valverde, both this time are set to have aggressive interceptions set to be on for them, and they're also going to help with the build-up play going forward and backwards, as well as create those little passing triangles, with them both being set to stand edge of the box for the cross, so they will also try and facilitate on the edge of the area more times than not, as well as have the free roam approach. You want them to be able to pop up in those little pockets of space, and that's the beauty of having 5 midfielders, because none of them have to be gridlocked or stick to position. They can have the ability to have a bit more fluidity to their game, and I think the free roam role for both of Valverde and Camavinga does do a very good job for either or. As for Bellingham, he is set to come back on defense, so he will just sometimes drop a bit deeper, get on the ball, very similar to the previous set of instructions, but he will also look to get in the box. Like I said, he will help Hosselu with making those runs into the box, trying to have an extra man on him and try and free up Hosselu for the cross, or potentially whipping in one of his own. Stick to position is essential for the attacking midfielder though, and then aggressive interception. So your forward line are going to try and more or less be very aggressive and trying to impose themselves on the opposition's backline at times, trying to have them create a turnover of their own or make a mistake and then potentially pounce on that and transition into attack. As for Modric though, the other attacking midfielder, also is set to come back on defense, have a balanced approach for his crossing runs, stick to position though, he is going to be the out and out number 10, more or less the chief creator, and then aggressive interceptions are set to be on for him. And then finally we've got Hosselu, and basically it's only Hosselu that can play this position. It doesn't work if you stick a Vinny Jr. or Rodrigo up front, because they don't have the physicality to be able to hold down the centre of the park, be the target man, have that ball being knocked into them, hold off the defence, and then potentially lay it off to a Bellingham or a Modric or another midfielder or even your wing back at times. So you need a very physical presence if you are going to use this formation going forward. Normal interceptions are set to be on for him though, so he won't always look be aggressive and press, but it will come from the flanks of your striker, and then have a basic defensive support. So sometimes he will just slightly drop off, have the ball knocked into him, and almost suck the opposition centre back out of position at times, opening up a lot more space for either Bellingham or Modric to top rate. So yes, my dudes, if you've gone to this point in the video, thank you so much. I just want to say, like, I'm so appreciative of you guys as a community. We have grown something, or we are growing something fantastic. Like 2,000, the road to 2,000 subscribers was amazing, but now it's the road to 3,000. It's a continuous road to building something great, and that's what we're doing here. So if you can, do me the biggest honor, the biggest favor, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and I hope you have a damn great day. I'm out.